My Lords, I'm most grateful to the noble Lord McNally for his generous comments. And I refer students of Brexit, the Brexit saga, to what I said in your Lordship's house on the 30th of January, the 16th of May, and the 20th of November last year, and indeed on many occasions over the last 25 years. My Lords, the burden of my recent song has been that our politicians and bureaucrats have never done a commercial deal in their lives, and so don't understand the strength of our hand in Brussels or how to play it. I have recently come to see that our political media suffers from the same disability, and so all three are now joined together in a lengthy cacophony with which our real people are getting very frustrated and angry. Much of this noise, my Lords, is now directed against the supposed horrors of leaving the EU on the 29th of March without a deal. But I would have thought that the speech here today from the noble Lord Lilly, and the paper he published via Global Britain and Labour Leave on the 7th of January, entitled 30 Truths About Leaving on WTO Terms, together with yesterday's paper from Economists for Free Trade, No Deal is the Best Deal for Britain, should comprehensively close all that nonsense down. If those who in truth want to reverse the referendum result do not agree with those papers, perhaps they would publish a rebuttal, point by point and author by author. I look forward to reading it, not very hopefully, my Lords, because they can't. So, my Lords, no deal is fine, but I come back to a concept which is even cleaner and simpler. The government should accept that it will never get a deal out of the Commission which respects our referendum result, because the Commission's main aim in life is to keep its project of European integration afloat, and if we break free and make a success of our restored independence, that aim will be even more damaged than it is already. So, my Lords, we should resile from clauses 2 to 5 of Article 50, cease dealing with the Commission, and make a generous offer to the real people of Europe through the Council of Ministers. Those real people, my Lords, are after all our friends, whereas the Commission is not. We should offer them reciprocal residence for a period to be agreed, our continuing security support from GCHQ and our membership of the Five Eyes, and continuing free trade together, but under the WTO instead of the Luxembourg Court. My Lords, that offer would be generous because there are some 3.5 million EU citizens living here, and only some 1.2 million of our people living there. And because if our offer of continuing free trade is not accepted, and we are forced to trade on normal WTO terms, their exporters will pay us some 13.5 billion in new tariffs, and our exporters will pay Brussels some 5.5 billion, a profit to us of some 8 billion pounds. My Lords, those figures were confirmed by Civitas this morning. And the WTO would allow us to subsidise any of our exporters hit by the 5.5 billion out of that 8 billion profit. But, my Lords, if our offer is accepted, we go on in free trade with our customers in the EU just as we do now. Nothing changes, and the vastly inflated problem of the Irish border disappears. My Lords, your Lordships will be aware that I floated the suggestion several times in the last year, but the government have always replied that they can't follow it, and I quote, because we are a law-abiding nation, by which they meant that we can't resile from clauses 2 to 5 of Article 50, because that would be breaking the EU treaty. But now the Luxembourg Court has actually agreed with me and confirmed that we can indeed resile from Article 50 unilaterally if we want to. That is agreed with me and my advisers. I received a helpful written answer on the 27th of November from the government saying that the UK has unilaterally withdrawn from their obligations under no less than 52 multinational treaties since 1988. So why not this one, my Lords? And of course, my Lords, if our offer is not accepted by the Council on behalf of their people, we shouldn't pay any money at all to Brussels after the 29th of March, as indeed we shouldn't under no deal. If it is accepted, we could be generous about that too. My Lords, I don't know if the government is taking advice from businessmen who know how to do deals and who understand the EU, but I fear not. Because if they did, those businessmen would tell them the most obvious madness in the government's approach to these negotiations has been to allow the Eurocrats to put the question of any leaving payment up front, instead of taking it last. Can I ask the noble Lord the Minister, when he comes to reply, whether nothing is agreed until everything is agreed still applies in this respect? My Lords, I end by underlining the warning from several noble Lords that if the referendum result is not respected, thanks to the obvious and bewildering incompetence of our political and bureaucratic class, we may be sowing the seeds of civil unrest. Already, many of our white working class are simmering with anger at the way those in authority have turned a blind eye to the grooming gang scandal, and I fear it would be foolish to provoke them further in this sorry matter. The deal, my Lords, isn't a deal at all. It is an abject capitulation. If it is voted down in the Commons tomorrow, I invite the government to at least consider my proposal. If they haven't the vision or the political will to do that, and I fear that they may not, then let us embrace no deal in the WTO and go forth into the world with good cheer.